NFL schedules were released last night, and what did we learn? Well, the AFC North is home to the 3 hardest schedules in the NFL this season. Leading the way is the Cleveland Browns, whose opponents won a combined 158 games in 2023. Not far behind them, the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Douzable and Pete Prisco. Now, we knew the AFC North was the hardest division based on opponents. Now that we have the full schedule, you guys are predicting records for each team. So we're going to start with the Ravens. 4 out of their first 5 games. Does that make you dance?
No, he was like pumping himself up. He's like, let's go. I got it.
For the Ravens, 4 out of their first 5 games. We got the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Bills, and the Bengals. Last year, they went 13-4. What do we think for this year? Pete, we'll start with you.
I have them going 12-5, but not starting very well. I mean, if you look at their schedule, I have them losing at Kansas City and losing at Dallas in 2 of their first 3 games. So I think they will get it going. I do like the makeup of the team. We know the Ravens are going to be there. Lamar Jackson, MVP candidate again. I think they'll be good on defense again. Questions about the offensive line a little bit. But I think they're one of those teams. They're going to be right in the mix for the division title, as they always are, and good coach. So it's a good football team.
I'll let you guys know, Pete looked at my sheet when we did the records.
No, I didn't.
And that's how he knew that the Ravens were going to go 12-5. Nope. That's exactly what I have.
Because I looked at some of your other ones coming up, and I know I don't agree with those.
12-5. And when you look at it, I have them going 3-2 the first 5 weeks. But instead of losing to the Cowboys, I have them losing at the Cincinnati Bengals. And you stated a few things. When you look at this Ravens team, there's been a lot of overturn on the defense, right? They lose their defensive coordinator, Mike McDonald. He goes over to Seattle to be the head coach. They lose Patrick Queen. They had one of the best linebacker tandems in all the NFL. We'll see what happens with Trenton Simpson, who probably will step up and be that starter next to Roquan Smith. Will he be able to step up and be like Patrick Queen? Geno Stone, they're not talking about him enough. He led them in interceptions. And also, Jadeveon Clowney, who led them in interceptions, goes to Carolina. So there's a lot of overturn. But like you, the biggest concern for me is their offensive line. 3 of the 5 starters are no longer with the Ravens, right? They traded away Morgan Moses. He's been an Iron Man. He's a guy that show up every single week. John Simpson brought a physicalness that the Ravens are accustomed to. And also, Kevin Zeitler, I know he's getting up there in age, but he still played really good football, Pete. So when you have that type of overturn, you worry about protection for Lamar Jackson and also in the run game, right? Because it's all about continuity up front. They had a consistent O-line that showed up week in and week out. Now there's overturn there.
Well, they didn't run against the Chiefs in the championship game.
That was more play calling than players.
Yeah, right? Six rushes to running backs in that game. 6.
He may have copied your paper on this one. I don't think you guys agree on this next one. And Lige, you're going to have to explain to both Pete and Ginny and I, all of us, exactly what you're thinking here. Okay. We're going with the Bengals. So last year, their schedule, they went 9-8 here. Cool. This year, out of this division, easiest ranked schedule. You get that guy back. But you are questioning Joe Cool, Joe Shiesty, and you're giving them the same record as last year.
I'm not questioning Joe Cool. First of all, is Joe Shiesty going to be healthy? That's the biggest concern.
No, I mean, you can't. Is anybody going to be healthy?
I'm just saying, there's been a history of him not being healthy, right? And he ended the season not healthy as well last year. And then there's other things. There's distractions, right? 3 of their top players want new contracts, right? Where Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, who's already asked for a trade, Trey Hendrickson, their leader on defense, has asked for a trade as well. So we talked about this division being the toughest division in football. It is a gauntlet. Now, I do think the Bengals do go on a run in week 3 through 6. You see they have the Commanders, they have at the Panthers. They get the Ravens at home, and they have the Giants. I think they can go on a run right there. But it's a gauntlet, Pete, from week 8 to week 10. Eagles, Ravens, Eagles at Ravens, and they have the Raiders at home. I think that's going to be a hard spot for them. And then down the stretch, they also have the Cowboys. And again, this is the hardest division in football. So to me, the distractions for players that want new deals, will Joe Shiesty actually be healthy is the biggest concern. If he's healthy, then yes, they probably do get more than 9 wins. But this is a tough division, Pete.
So you don't think he's going to make it through the season, basically?
We haven't seen him be consistently healthy.
Yeah, well, he's going to be healthy this year, and he's going to put up big numbers, and he's going to be in the MVP race, and they're going to win 13 games.
Oh, you're going to win the division?
You're going to win the division. You look at this schedule. You talk about that little run they go there, but look at you talked about the tough games. The Eagles are at home, the Raiders are at home, and at the Chargers is a tough game. Okay, at the Ravens, that's a tough game. Yeah. Then you get the end of the season, Steelers, Cowboys, Titans, Browns, Broncos, and Steelers again.
Joe Shiesty struggles against the Browns.
They are going to win 13 games. All that contract talk goes out the window once you get on the field, and they're going to be pushing to go to the Super Bowl. The Bengals will be back. As Joe Burrow is back, the Bengals are back.
Well, the last thing you want, and you know this, Pete, you covered this game for a long time. As a player, the last thing you want to be concerned about is your contract going into a season, right? Because say you get a little tight hamstring, will you actually push through it, or will you wait if you're T. Higgins or you're Jamar Chase or you're Trey Hendrickson, knowing at the end of the season you're going to be a free agent and going to get paid? That's the concern that the Bengals have, and their ownership is a lot different from other ownerships. They don't have that capital where they can just give a lot of upfront money. So that's the issue they have, because they've been so bad in the past. They've gotten really good players, but now those new players are due for deals. So that's the issue I think the Bengals have to deal with.
So if you're T. Higgins or Trey Hendrickson and you don't want to be there and you're playing your contract out and you get to November and you're in a Super Bowl push and all of a sudden your hamstring's a little tight, you decide you're going to sit out? I mean, then I don't want you on my team.
No, that's hypothetical. You're saying they're going to be in a Super Bowl run.
I don't want you on my team.
Who says they're going to be in the Super Bowl run?
13 wins.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to
13 wins. Joe Burrow's back. They're back.
A lot of these players are concerned about their health and where that next money contract is.
Oh, I get it. But if you're in a Super Bowl push, you're playing through that, and you know that.
You would hope so.
You would hope so.
And now, okay, if you're 5-9 or whatever, then my hamstring hurts.
Yeah. All right, we're going to talk about the Steelers next. So you have Mike Tomlin there. Pete, you gave them an A for their draft, but this is a completely different offense than last year. You got Russell Wilson, Justin Fields here. We have no idea what's going to happen. So what's your prediction?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be very good. I think they're going to win 7 games. And I think when you look at Russell Wilson, I don't think he's any good anymore. I'll be honest with you. I think his best years are behind him. It wouldn't surprise me at some point if Justin Fields took over as the starter on this team. Yep. I think they're going to struggle throwing the football, much like they have for the last couple of years. I do. I just don't see the same guy anymore. They're going to be more physical eventually as they get that offensive line worked out, and they are going to get the offensive line worked out. They had a good draft as it relates to that. It might take a little time, and they are in the best division. They'll be good on defense. They had bad linebackers last year. They struggled on defense last year. They'll be better on defense this time around, but I still think they're in a tough division. 7 wins. Yeah,
I agree with Pete. I would have them going 7-10, and it's weird for me to say that because one thing Mike Tomlin doesn't do is have a losing season. A lot of people thought he would have a losing season last year. Well, Pete, with that team and all the talent deficiencies they had, he took them to the playoffs, and they were in a dogfight with Buffalo those first 3 quarters. Buffalo took over in the 4th quarter. But I'll have my guy Noah, our producer, put up the schedule for me again, because this is unheard of. I've never seen this, Pete. The Steelers do not play a division game until week 11. We just stated this is the hardest division in football. The schedule makers didn't do them any favors. Look at this. They don't play a division game. Then they have the Ravens, the Browns, the Bengals, then the Browns again, then the Eagles, then the Ravens, then the Kansas City Chiefs, then the Bengals. I love Mike Tomlin. I don't see how the Steelers can get through this gauntlet. That is crazy. I've never seen anything like that.
Well, they don't have to worry about it. But based on your assessment, Joe Burrow won't be around for those 2 Bengals games.
That's 2 games that are like 8 or 9, though. It doesn't matter.
Wait, so let me ask you this about Mike Tomlin, because there were questions this offseason if he was going to be back around, if he was going to take a year off, if he was just going to be done, go to another team. Didn't know. Lige, you're going, both of you, with a losing record. Again, don't know if it's going to happen because he has yet to have that happen. If that does happen, what is his future?
To me, it's whatever he wants. Yeah. He's earned the right to do what he wants.
He's still there. Like, he's still that guy.
If he wants to be.
They're not going to fire him.
Mike Tomlin's a great coach, and Mike Tomlin can stay as long as he wants. If he wants to be there, he'll be there, even if they do go 7-10.
Okay, let's go to the final team in this division here. Let's talk about the Browns. I feel like this is the team where there's the most to try to unpack or figure out, because you have a team that had 5 quarterbacks last year. Thank you, Joe Flacco. Thank you, Kevin Stefanski, for getting them to the postseason. 1 Coach of the Year. Pete, you said that should happen the entire time. You got Deshaun Watson back. They had a ton of injuries last year. Where do you begin to try to predict what this team is going to look like?
It's hard. It's all about Deshaun Watson. I mean, what are you getting from Deshaun Watson? Are you getting the guy you paid all that money to? Are you getting a guy who put up some decent numbers with the Texans when he was there? Because we haven't seen that in Cleveland. There were glimpses of it at times, but we haven't seen it in Cleveland. And now there's a ton of pressure on him. And here's why. Joe Flacco took them to the playoffs and became like a cult figure in Cleveland. Now you come back, you get Watson back, the team should be better. I don't necessarily think it's going to be. I worry about Deshaun Watson. I have them going 8-9 in that division.
And not making the playoffs?
And not making the playoffs.
Did you see the tattoo?
No.
Did you see he got a
His
Super
back
Bowl
tattoo?
ring on his tattoo?
But didn't put the ring in because he hasn't gotten it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got the Cleveland Browns winning this division, guys.
Wow.
Yeah, when you look at this is a championship-type defense, and you know this, Pete. You just stated it. 5 different quarterbacks, Amanda, and they went to the playoffs last year. Deshaun Watson, that is the big question. Will he return to form for what he was doing with the Houston Texans? We saw glimpses of it. Let's not forget, Pete, the game he got hurt versus the Baltimore Ravens, he was flawless that second half with a messed up shoulder. And he actually wanted to fight through this. And probably because of the pressure of getting that $230 million guaranteed, he wanted to go out there, but the doctor said there's no way you could play with this shoulder injury. You would think he'd be a lot healthier. They added Jerry Jeudy to this offense as well. They literally have all the pieces needed. It's on Deshaun Watson. I think he takes that step, and the Cleveland Browns win this division.
So just to clarify for everybody watching, you have the Ravens, who are a Super Bowl favorite.
Yep.
You have Lamar Jackson, everything they did. And you have, Pete, the Bengals winning the division.
And he has the Browns.
And you have the Browns.
Too much overturn on the Ravens team. I think they'll be really good. I just don't think they win the division.
Okay.
And I'm all in on Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow, when he's at his best,
I love Joe Shiesty. I just think he hasn't been healthy, and they're dealing with some issues.
And you
with
have him out for the second half of the season.
I'm not putting that bad juju on Joe Shiesty. I love Joe Shiesty. I just think the Bengals are going to struggle this year.
We all love Joe Burrow, and we hope that he is fully healthy here. And look, the reason it is so hard to predict this division, because it is, in fact, the toughest division in the NFL right there. Every team but the Bengals in the top 5 when it comes to schedule difficulty there. Taking a look at the odds to win, Pete Ligier not agreeing with this, with the Ravens sitting on top, followed by the Bengals, the Browns, and then the Steelers. But they both agree the Steelers will come out with a 7-2